We are live. This is Michael Voss with the Binghamton Political Examiner.com, and I'm taking a moment to speak with Tom Deweese, who's going to be speaking today at the Central Baptist Church in Binghamton on Agenda 21, and we've gotten a chance to have a few moments with him alone before the speech, and I just want to ask, first of all, if you can introduce yourself to our viewers.
Sure. I'm Tom Deweese. I'm president of the American Policy Center. We formed about 1986 in Virginia, is where we're located. And we started, our mission was limited government, individual liberty, private property, and free enterprise. And to promote that, we work on various issues. We worked on trying to stop the destruction of the American education system back in the 90s. And as we worked on that, I began to notice the environmental movement starting to get policies in place that were damaging the private property rights of people around the country. And one step led to another, and the UN had its meeting in 1992, the Earth Summit, and Agenda 21 came out of that. And as we read it, we saw that this was the grand plan that was not only going to damage private property rights, but it was going to change America's system of government and away from representative government. And so that's why we took off after it, and we've been ever since sounding the alarm about it and slowly but surely getting people to hear us.
Let me ask you, there's been several questions about Agenda 21 that many people have. What is it? What is it affecting in their daily lives? Can you address that?
Sure. Yeah, it affects everything in their daily life. That people think Agenda 21 is sold as a conservation program to protect the environment, help development in communities, and the proponents of it today try to hide what we say it is. They say it's an innocuous 20-year-old document that doesn't have any kind of procedure to enforce it. The fact of the matter is that in the old days, in the beginning, they called it a comprehensive blueprint for the transformation of human society. And that's what it is. It is changing our form of government away from representative government to appointed councils, regional governments that are taking government away, farther away from the people. It uses eminent domain and other practices to get people off of their private property, and it literally affects every aspect of our lives. You will find it involved in healthcare programs. You'll find it involved in education programs. A lot of the curriculum today in the schools is about this program, sustainable development, and it is making it very difficult for some of the people who are most affected by it are the poor and the young, because housing, suburban housing, single-family homes are beginning to disappear for stack and pack high-rises, and people can't afford to buy a home. They're starting to have to rent. They're having to downsize, and it's hard for young people and for people in low incomes to get started. And the old American dream of buying a home and you can build wealth that way is beginning to diminish. And these are two of the major effects of Agenda 21 Sustainable Development programs we're seeing.
I noticed that, that there's an impact of Agenda 21 on gun rights, on Second Amendment. That's a particularly sensitive subject in New York State with the New York SAFE Act. And are you familiar? How should gun owners be aware?
Well, first of all, guns are property. And protecting your property with your gun has been an American tradition from the beginning. Anybody threatens you, you have a means to protect your property. And obviously, people who are ripping property out from under people, who are creating what I call a top-down control, a tyrannical kind of government, don't want the citizens armed in order to protect their property. And so gun rights are very much under attack by it. And one of the tenets of sustainable development is to move people out of rural areas and herd them into cities. And what are in cities? Cities are full of crime. Cities are full of inefficient government. Cities are full of high taxes, and people living on top of each other sometimes have a hard time living with each other because they have different ideas, and so you end up with violence that goes on there, and the answer from them is get rid of the guns instead of leaving the people alone and let them live as in suburban housing and in neighborhoods the way they want to live. Instead, you put them in these stack and packs, and then you have to do behavior modification to make sure they live properly, and that's what's going on.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question about, obviously there's the other side as well, those who oppose or promote Agenda 21, I should say. And I've heard from them as well, and one of their arguments is, well, the United Nations has no impact in the United States. I'm sure you've heard that before.
Yep.
And it's probably the number one argument I've heard against anyone opposing Agenda 21 or sustainable
Development.
Sustainable development.
Yeah.
Thank you. What would you say to that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, my talk tonight, the first 10 minutes, is going to address that with the documents. And what I'm going to say is this, that in the beginning, when it was first introduced, the term they used constantly was comprehensive plan or blueprint, comprehensive blueprint for the reorganization of human society. That's what they said at the Earth Summit in 1992. That's what Nancy Pelosi said when she introduced it into Congress. That's what the American Planning Association said in the 1994 newsletter that they put out, comprehensive blueprint. And it wasn't until we started to make it an issue, we started to get people to question it, that suddenly they went Gruber on us. Jonathan Gruber, who suddenly nobody ever heard of. All of a sudden, that's what they started doing to us too. That, this is a conspiracy theory, it doesn't exist. I've got a document I can show you of 1997 from the United States of America reporting to the United Nations on, 5 years after it was introduced, the progress of implementation of Agenda 21 in the United States. The way it happened is this. They say it's an innocuous document, that there's no blue helmeted troops at City Hall, that's my favorite one, and that it has, as you said, it has no enforcement capability. That's right, it's a piece of paper. However, that piece of paper, first of all, 179 heads of state signed it, said, yep, we're for this. There were 50,000 delegates at the Earth Summit. Was it just a party? Was it just for fun? Or did they mean something from it? And all the words about comprehensive blueprint, when in 1993, Bill Clinton signed an executive order to create the President's Council on Sustainable Development. The purpose of that council was to make Agenda 21 official U.S. policy. The NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, the Nature Conservancy, the Sierra Club, ICLEI, these organizations were serving, first of all, many of them served on that council. And what they did was they went into the federal government and they created programs, particularly grant programs through HUD, the EPA, Department of Transportation, many others. And they brought it there, and these grant programs, if a community takes the grant, then comes strings attached that are the implementation of Agenda 21. Then those same NGO groups that wrote it on the international level, put the programs together on the federal level, went into the state governments, lobbied there to get them to create regulations that every community has to do a comprehensive development plan. Now you've got city councilmen, county commissioners saying, what is a comprehensive development plan? The same NGOs arrive with a box, everything in it that you need, documents, regulations, everything's written for you, and the grant money to pay for it all. And that's how it went from the international level down into your backyard. They don't need to have the rules and regulations to control from the UN. They've got the shock troops from these non-governmental organizations. They're the ones that brought it here, and they wrote it in the first place and put it in place step by step in this country, and that's how it's been done.
Well, that's a good answer. Obviously, I would ask if you later on, either after the event or I'll give you my email. Of course, I would want to ask about the document. I'd love to see that.
Sure, I've got it right outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, I'll save the rest for when you're speaking, and we will get the entire speech, and
Okay.
we look forward to that.
Okay, appreciate it. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.